Welcome to the Success Talk Show, the podcast for ambitious leaders who want to get their best results and create a workplace for their teams to thrive. Each week, we share practical advice to help you accelerate your success and grow as an inspiring leader. Now, here's your host, Leadership Success Coach, Donna Siriani.
Welcome to another episode of the Success Talk Show. This is Donna Siriani, Leadership Success Coach and founder of Success Compass Academy. And my special guest today is Kristen Nolan, a high-performance strategist for executives and entrepreneurs, as well as an international speaker. She works with leaders who want to increase their productivity, boost their brain power, and show up more powerfully at work every day. Kristen's been a business owner for the past 10 years, and prior to that, she was a regional business development manager for a travel company. So she's all too familiar with the stress and challenges that are common for leaders and entrepreneurs. She believes that professional and financial success is 100% dependent on how energized, motivated, and confident you feel. She's made it her life's mission to help driven men and women achieve success by using simple but powerful techniques to uplevel their physical health, energy, and stamina. So welcome, Kristen.
Thank you so much for having me, Donna. I'm honored to be here.
Yeah, thanks. So, Kristen, there's so many reasons why I wanted to have you on the show. And there's a couple of things. So often as I'm coaching executives, they're really hungry to uplevel their game, whether it's be more productive and have that mental and physical energy. Or in terms of executive presence, they recognize that they have to show up with a certain level of energy, right, to be able to inspire, motivate, and show their organizations that they have what it takes. So there's a lot of reasons why this is such an important topic. So I want to dig right in and start with asking you a couple of really basic questions. My first question for you, Kristen, is what are some of the most common challenges that you see business leaders face when it comes to their health and energy?
I love this question because I think it is the simple things that people don't realize that are really throwing them off. So I'll give you a really easy example. Most executives and busy leaders find themselves in back-to-back meetings with no time to fuel themselves with the proper types of food. So oftentimes, and I'll just start off with a story. I was working with a female executive, and her admin would try to bring her some meals that she could have between meetings, but ultimately she would just keep pushing the food aside and continuing to be on the phone or meeting with people. And then all of a sudden in the afternoon, she would have this serious energy crash. Mm-hmm. She could not handle the exhaustion that she would feel. And all she wanted to do was just gorge on whatever she could find in the break room, cookies, brownies. And I'll tell you that when you've gotten to that point, I call it the hangry point, a salad ain't going to cut it. You know what I mean? And
yeah, I know that.
And I feel it in And I feel it in my own self. And I know this stuff. So it's just incredible when you can fuel yourself between meetings, even if it's just, scheduling out 5 minutes of a break between meetings to have some kind of energizing snack. So that is a huge one that I see. The other thing that I'll see is that busy leaders are so disconnected with their bodies and what their bodies are saying to them that they don't really know what type of food to put in their mouth in the first place that's going to make them feel good. So I had a CEO I was working with, and he would literally lose up to 15 hours of productivity a week because he was so tired after lunch. He would have to go home, take a nap, and come back. And of course, that put him at work until all hours of the night. He couldn't be with his family, and all these things that he absolutely loved doing in his personal life weren't available to him anymore. So just, knowing what feels good and energizing for you to eat is so key. So we got him on this quick program where basically he was eating balanced meals throughout the day. And all of a sudden he gains back those 15 hours of productivity in just 6 weeks. So Yeah. So, finding yourself in back-to-back meetings and feeling totally disconnected from your body, like not even really understanding what feels good to you anymore, is a huge challenge when it comes to your energy.
Yeah. And Kristen, these first two stories really resonate with me because when I first met you, I was in that category of doing back-to-back meetings, and I would power through, and I would go through almost my entire day on practically, water and whatever little treat was hanging around. And by the end of the day, I was so exhausted. I could keep it together with energy. It was like adrenaline. And by the end of the day, when I finally could step away, I wanted cookies. Oh, I definitely wanted cookies. I wanted, ice cream or, whatever. But like you said, I wasn't craving a salad or something healthy. By that point, I was craving, high sugar snacks. Now, once I started working with you, why I was so excited to talk to you today is because by you coaching me on exactly what to do for my energy level, and I don't want to jump too far ahead, but by me really thinking ahead and bringing in those healthy snacks you referred to, it completely changed my energy level so it's much more consistent. Because the situation here is we all only have so many hours in the day to get our work done and be productive and be creative. And we're just like your CEO that lost 15 hours. If we're not properly fueling ourselves, you just lose these huge chunks of time where you're just not at your best and you're really not producing. So anyway, those two stories.
And time is money.
Resonated. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And and I've seen your body transform like crazy from taking better care of yourself. I mean, I absolutely love how mindful you are about it now. And you are so much. And the other cool thing is I see you as more fulfilled and happy as well, and able to serve your clients at a deeper level and really show up as a mentor that's totally in line with your messaging. You're such a gifted and amazing coach. I have nothing but the best thoughts about you.
Thank you, Kristen. So thank you for that. And so here's when we talk about busy leaders or executives or entrepreneurs trying to power through their day, one of the challenges that I see is that the feeling as though you don't have enough time to take a break, to plan meals, take the break, do whatever's going to restore your energy. So you push through, right? And then the sad part is by doing that, you've actually robbed yourself of whatever productivity you could have had. So it's like a chicken and the egg. And what I'm curious about is I can understand the back-to-back meetings. I lived that for years, being disconnected with your body. Are there any other sort of common challenges that you see? Because I'd love to get some tips, but I'm just curious. Those are the ones that really resonate with me. Is there anything else that you see?
Yeah, as being a common challenge, I think just being under a high level of stress. And, I think everybody talks about stress and how it's bad for us. We all sort of get that from a certain level, but I think it's very hard for people to internalize the effect that it actually has on their body because, it's not something they can necessarily see. They just feel it and think, okay, you know what, that'll go away. Let me just keep doing this thing. I have to keep doing this thing. Oh my God, but stress is such a real factor in all of this, and it's such a problem. I'll tell you another story. I had a CEO who I was training, and she keynote speaking on a number of different stages, and her waistline started expanding. She started getting what I call stress belly. And when stress belly happens, you feel really uncomfortable in your body, and it happens because stress decreases our digestive capacity by up to 50%. So 50%. That means that if you're constantly under stress, you've got a ton of things on your mind, and you don't have any time to clear your head, then your digestive system will really take the impact, and your body will feel like it has to prepare for the worst. So it'll pack on pounds on your waistline. That makes you feel uncomfortable in your body. It makes you feel bloated. It makes you feel exhausted and drained. So what we did for her was we taught her how to get her meals on point, but I'm telling you, when she took just literally 10 to 20 minutes a day for a meditative practice, and that doesn't work for everybody, but it happened to work for her, and made sure she was getting enough sleep at night, that stress belly went away. She reduced by 6 inches in her waist in just, it was a little over 90 days. Yeah. But just amazing. So high stress is another one of those things that if we just keep pushing through it, then we're going to find ourselves, our bodies constantly compensating. And I like to think of business as an Olympic sport, so that means that if you want to perform like the world's highest achievers, constantly pushing through pain and stress and all those things is not going to help you succeed.
Mm-hmm.
You see Olympic athletes train hard, but they recover 10 times harder. So we have to figure out, there's really no choice but for us to figure out a healthy balance of recovery activities to get into our day so that we can perform at our physical and mental best. Because if you don't do that, you will get a stress belly, but that's just the start of it.
Mm-hmm.
That's when disease sets in. That's when you start showing up as, more on the ragged edge versus the rested edge. And it reflects in everything that you do, because when people are showing up on that ragged edge all the time, they come across as untrustworthy. Right.
Well, it's interesting you talk about the ragged edge, Kristen, because it's just coincidence that this morning I was giving a webinar on executive presence to a group of leaders. And, one really key component of executive presence is having that vitality, showing up with high energy, right? So that you can motivate, inspire, and get everybody else energized to move towards, certain objectives and goals and performance. And when you say not trustworthy, what comes to mind for me is if somebody has that lack of vitality, lack of energy, people can make assumptions about your professional capability. Like, well,
that's right.
we're not sure if we want to give that individual more responsibility because it looks like they maybe are having trouble balancing what they already have. So the leaders in your organization may not give you even more responsibility if they think you're barely keeping up as it is, kind of wearing it on your sleeve. So to your point, leaders who show up looking worn out and ragged, others are going to conclude that, maybe you're just not prepared for the challenge, right? Or maybe you're in over your head.
That's exactly right.
Right. Maybe you're
That's
in over
exactly
your head.
Right, Donna. Yeah, I have a personal experience with that. I paid a coach thousands of dollars, actually $20,000 plus to coach me. And when she, started showing up as loopy and not all there at our appointments, I just totally cut things off. And the thing about it is that that's not something that you can actually tell somebody. So I think in the executive world, it'll really impact their abilities to be promoted. You'll put yourself up for these promotions, but people won't give them to you and they'll never tell you why.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
So
yeah, it can start to feel, when it comes to executive presence, it can start to feel really like sensitive areas to say to someone, you just don't bring enough. It sounds a little too soft because it's not that hard and fast, skills, knowledge, experience. It can start to feel, so you're absolutely right. I doubt that anyone's ever going to be told, directly that this is why they didn't get a promotion or this isn't why they're not getting that, bigger assignment. So but I would argue probably all of us, when we're in that situation, if we're honest with ourselves, we know that we're struggling, right? Whether it's sleep,
that's right,
stress, feeling disconnected, we'll know when we feel it. So.
Yeah. And you know what? One of the things that I love about you most is that you are always showing up so consistently energized and knowledgeable. You're never trying to hide anything. You always look very authentic to me. You've always got your stuff together. And that's why I respect you so much as a professional. So, for anyone listening to this podcast, if you're looking to be coached in executive presence, that, Donna is one of the best people on the planet that I know of.
Okay. Oh no, they're going to think I paid you to say that. So let's share. Yeah.
Oh, no.
I'm just joking. So here's what I want to do. I want to ask you, because everything you're saying really resonates with me. It's why I wanted to speak with you today, because I see so many really busy leaders struggling with these very same issues. So what are some of those, top changes or advanced moves that someone could start taking right away to transform their energy?
Yeah, so I always look at gaining more energy as a three-pronged approach. What I do for all of my clients is create what I call a high-performance health code for them. All right, so this is a combination of the three health elements needed to help you show up at your physical and mental best. And the reason I want to talk about this is because I believe 100% that it takes all three of these things to help you show up as that confident, energized leader that people are just naturally, magnetized by. So the first one is movement. In this, you'll want to incorporate and just start with daily intentional movement. So not movement with your, brain focused on a million things, but intentional movement for just 10 minutes a day. You can start by just taking a walk, like literally. And when I say that out loud, most people don't believe me. They're like, okay, yeah, right, Kristen, like that's going to change my body. But I'll tell you that when I start working with clients, we start with very light movements. They do them for 10 minutes a day. And I have so many success stories based around this. The one in particular, I had a client make an additional $5,000 in her month every month, because once she started moving for 10 minutes a day, all of a sudden, she wasn't completely sedentary. And on the days that she could do more, she did more. So that's the beauty of it. When you start with just a little bit that you can wrap your head around, the days that you feel inspired to do more and you have time in your schedule, you can do that. But anyhow, suddenly she had so much more energy and she was able to see clients all day long, not just in the mornings. She was able to go to more networking meetings. She, felt more motivated when she had more energy. She was more motivated to put out more marketing. So do you see the cycle here? A little bit goes a long way. All right. So that's the first pillar, is just moving, because of the feeding pattern in your brain, which is bottom to top, back to front. All the signals from movement integrate in the back bottom part of your brain. They feed your frontal lobe. That's where you do all of your executive thinking from. And that needs fuel from food and from movement. Movement is a big one. And I think we can all, think about it as, if you've ever been super tired and you've been sitting at your desk, you feel like you're about to fall asleep. You're like, okay, I'm going to get up and I'm going to take a walk. So you get up, you take a walk around the block, and then you sit back down feeling much more energized. I think most people have had that experience. So movement is a big one.
Yeah, I want to pause on movement, Kristen, because why I think that's such an important emphasis that you gave on the 10 minutes a day, because so often in a busy corporate setting, people will, maybe they'll exercise before they go into the office, right? Go in either in the morning. Some folks might try and exercise at lunch or after work. But when you say that even 10 minutes a day can make such a dramatic difference, that's huge, because so often we get stuck on thinking, oh, I'd need like an hour and a half. I'd have to, go and do this big workout. And then that becomes an obstacle. That becomes,
That's right,
too big to tackle. So anyway, the fact that you're saying 10 minutes a day is totally achievable. So anyway, so thank you for stating that.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of small, consistent steps over time, just so they are more manageable. So that's the first pillar. The second pillar is metabolism. So a lot of people don't exactly understand what a healthy metabolism really means. So I'd love to just tell you that having a healthy metabolism is the key and the biggest measure of health, because it functions in every cell of your body. I sort of feel like it's our fountain of youth, because you think about a child, right? A child has a super high metabolism. They can eat whatever they want. They're warm. They're burning calories. They feel really good. They feel really energetic. So we want our metabolisms to stay high and healthy. And one of the best ways to do that is by eating frequently throughout the day in balanced proportions for our bodies. Okay, so I'll tell you a little bit more about what that means. It's different for everybody. Everybody has their own unique code, and also foods that jive better with their systems. Okay, and this changes too over time. You just have to pay attention to what yours is. So I always tell people to start out by you always want to get a combination of 3 macronutrients with every meal and snack. So you want to have a little healthy fat, a little carbohydrate, and a little protein with every meal and snack. Okay. One of the best ways to think about it in terms of balance when you're getting started, I am definitely not saying this is the end all be all, but having about a thumb size of healthy fat, a fist size of carbohydrates, that could be like fruits, and a palm size of protein with every meal and snack. Okay. And actually I have a great list. It's at 31snacks.com. If anyone wants to download it, it gives you 31 ideas on how to balance snacks to keep your bodies energized. Super easy. So that's metabolism. And there's other things that are involved in keeping your metabolism high and healthy, but that's a really good place to start right there.
Yeah. Kristen, can I just jump in? Is it 31 as in the number 31snacks.com?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, number31snacks.com.
Okay.
You got it.
Because, yeah, I think this was back about 2 years ago. It was that list, which really, and I was in your metabolism program, and it really transformed my energy because I was doing back-to-back meetings and workshops, and I just didn't have enough time to take a lunch break. And so those 31 snacks, I basically did my during the day meal plan around that document. So anybody listening, really encourage you to download that. And there was a lot of stuff I could take with me to my business meetings, a client, put it in my briefcase. And that helped me stay on schedule. Like you said, those little small meals. So anyway, so I just wanted to make sure that the web link was clear. All right. Thanks.
Oh, yeah, no problem. Yeah. And you know what? Actually, what a lot of my clients do is they give the list to their assistants. So their assistants just, get those snack combinations put together and hand it to their executives, and boom, they've got a snack.
I like that.
To think about it.
I like that idea. I like that. All right.
Next level tip. Okay, so lastly, mindfulness. This is a big category because, like I said, when people are under a high level of stress on a regular basis, then the body really takes the brunt of that. It will tell you by, giving you a stress belly, making it harder for you to lose weight and feel comfortable in your body, making you feel exhausted, all these things. So it is so incredibly important to find some kind of mindfulness practice that works for you. For a lot of my clients, they've got so much on their minds in the beginning that sitting down and meditating is not something that they can even wrap their heads around. So I say, you know what? Take a nice, slow, mindful walk and focus on music that you love. That in and of itself is a form of meditation and mindfulness. And then, once you feel like you could actually sit and focus on one thing or clear your mind for 10 minutes at a time, 20 minutes at a time, add that practice in. Along with mindfulness practices is sleep, making sure that you're getting at least 7 hours a night of sleep. I happen to be at my best when I get around 9 hours of sleep. And once you start paying attention to this, you'll know what works best for you. So find some kind of mindfulness practice. Some people love journaling. They have gratitude journals and they focus on that for 5 minutes before going to bed. It just, it can be very small in the beginning. And I feel like I'm all over the place with this one, but I think mindfulness practices are so personal to people. So it really depends on what works best for you.
Yeah, Kristen, I really agree with that because I've had a practice I've used for, I'm going to say about 15 years, but I know whenever I recommend it, it's very rare that somebody just jumps on it. It's like personal. It's my favorite is I write morning pages and it's based on Julia Cameron's The Artist's Way. In it, you wake up in the morning, you pour a cup of tea or a cup of coffee. And as soon as you wake up, as early as possible before your day starts, you basically write out 3 pages longhand. You're not doing it on a computer. You're basically writing longhand on a pad of paper, and you're just writing stream of consciousness. Whatever comes into your mind, you're just writing it down on a piece of paper, and you do that for 3 full pages. So it usually takes me about 30 minutes. And it is the most powerful for me when I think about meditation and mindfulness. I certainly love walking every day, but for me, I've never meditated. And so to me, that is my exercise. So when you say it's highly personal, I notice a huge difference in my energy level and how I start the day, whether I did my writing or I didn't. So anyway, I
love
agree
that.
with you.
And you know what? I started doing morning pages because of you.
I didn't know that.
Thank you for that tip. Yes, I love morning pages. Such a great mindful practice. So yeah, and a lot of times I think people will do one thing in the morning and then even one thing in the afternoon, or I've noticed that a lot of my clients do best when they sort of have 2 times of the day that they're doing a little something. But, starting with just one, is perfect. So I love your idea on that.
And, these things, each little piece adds up to really powerful combination. I love all the things you're mentioning because as when I met you, I started incorporating, the snacks, eating more frequently. I learned a lot about metabolism from you and how to, balance out, eat within an hour of getting up and so many great tips. And I would tell you, it really completely transformed what my days look like, how much I would get done. And, here's the sad part. Oftentimes with my own clients, they might feel stress, overwhelmed. They want to get more done. They want to get their arms around things. So I'm not a high performance coach like you. I might be coaching them on some strategies for time management, managing priorities. But you know what, Kristen? That all is that's like putting a Band-Aid on it. Like those are important strategies, but if you don't show up well rested, well fed, nourished, with the energy, then all those time management tips, they aren't going to solve the challenge. Do you know what I mean?
I do know what you mean, and I also think that you're a genius at helping people understand what's actually important to them by creating a vision of how they want their lives to be, what their profession is going to do for them, and also personal branding, right? So I think it's all intermixed.
Yeah, no.
I think you can't have one without the other.
Right, no, totally. All I'm saying is if somebody's really not getting enough sleep, they're not eating properly, they're really letting this high level of stress impact their physicality and how they show up, then it's almost like all of these things that you're sharing with us today, these are like the important foundation that you have to have in order then to be able to manage your time more effectively, do your best work, be productive. So I'm just saying, these are the things that you really can't skip over these steps and expect that you're going to show up at your best.
Yeah, it's so true. Yeah, it is. It is like the foundation. You can't build a solid house, a mansion on shaky foundation because it'll crumble.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's absolutely true. I agree with you.
And I'm curious, Kristen, I know that through the years, you've just helped hundreds and hundreds of people since I've known you really overcome these challenges. And I'm curious, what is it you see as the sort of the biggest block that people face to starting to turn the corner, embrace these strategies and start, doing these things for themselves?
They think they don't have time.
Yeah.
Yeah. They think they don't have time. And here's the thing that's really interesting. It's like they think they don't have time, but then if you consider how much time it takes away from you to not feel your best, like the guy I was working with losing 15 hours of productivity a week. I mean, how many is that a month? That's 60 hours a month. Really, you don't have time not to.
Right.
If we think about the coaches or the really successful executives and entrepreneurs we admire, I think of somebody like a Tony Robbins, right? First of all, can you imagine how busy this guy must be?
Right.
He talk about no time, like he really has no time. But I could never imagine him saying, yeah, you know what? I'm too busy. I'm too busy to work out. I just can't do it. I don't have enough time. Can you imagine that? That would never happen.
Yeah.
So if we think about the things, the types of entrepreneurs and executives that we really respect and love the work of, I can guarantee you that, of course, I can't say 100% of the time, but probably 95 to 98% of the time, that person has a very solid health practice that they're engaging in on a daily basis. And that person has figured out the secret that is hands down the most powerful creator of their success. In fact, there was a survey I was looking at. They surveyed 1,300 executives, and 75% of those executives said that physical fitness is critical for career success at the executive level.
What was that percent again?
75.
75. Yeah. Not surprising. Not surprising. Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah, that makes total sense. And with Tony Robbins, he's such a great, inspirational, icon really around healthy, fit approach to, bringing your best to everything that you do. So Kristen, and I'm curious, how do you work with, I know what you and I have done together, but how do you work with folks? Like when you mention these breakthroughs of some of these, busy executives, one of the things that I know I had as a challenge before I met you is really even knowing what to eat and what combinations. And I find sometimes it becomes overwhelming. There's so much advice out there about what to eat, what not to eat. So how do you work with your clients to figure out what they should be eating to really fuel their energy? What's the approach that you take for that?
Yeah, so I start everybody out with a high performance health assessment. And in that, I look at what they're currently doing. I look at what they're currently eating. I look at how they're moving, and I look at what their current, mindfulness practices are, if any. A lot of them don't have any. So, and then I start to conceptualize a program from there. Because the thing is that I don't want to just make a whole bunch of suggestions to somebody when I don't know what they're currently doing, because nobody has time to go from 0 to 1,000. That's just not going to happen in today's busy world. So what I do with on the food end of things, and I work with everybody privately over Skype or Zoom, I look at what they're eating and I look at how we can tweak it so that their energy can get better from what they're eating. They won't experience cravings or crashes after they start balancing their meals better. So we just start to tweak their meals, what they're currently eating. And then I give an individualized list to everybody, and I call it an easy meal combo guide. So it's basically something you just choose a protein, you choose a fat, you choose a carb, and you put it together, and boom, you've got yourself a meal. So super easy. And then on the movement end of things, I look at how they're moving, and I take a neuromuscular approach. So I use a brain-based training system called Z Health, and that's where we look at how your joints are moving, how your eyes are moving, and how your balance system is functioning. Because if your joints are tight, like if you have a ton of back pain and a ton of neck pain and shoulder pain, then your body will never be as strong as it could be in an actual workout, because jam joints equal weak muscles. So we get all their joints moving, and then we look at their eyes and how their eyes are moving, because when you can see better, your posture is better. If you think about when you're sitting at a desk and you start to like push your head forward to see the computer better because your eyes are getting tired, then you'll have a sense of what I'm talking about. You have 6 eye muscles. You have to make sure they're strong. So I give you vision exercises that you can do to help your brain function better and for your posture to be better so you can sit up taller. It's the same with the balance system. If the balance system is off and you're unstable, then you can't tone your body, because instability is real. It creates a high level of uncertainty in your brain. So your brain gets worried about doing movements. And if it's worried about doing movements, you can't be strong. So all of this has a tremendous effect on your overall ability to be conditioned and to function at a high level physically and mentally. So anyway, we do that assessment, and then we go from there. I see clients, once or twice a week, depending on their investment level, and get them some results.
Yeah, it's so fascinating, Kristen. I could just keep asking you questions, because I think what's motivating to me is once you find yourself really making some progress and getting your arms around some of the things that have, dragged you down in the past, whether it's, your energy level, what you're eating, lack of exercise, or whatever it is, then you start craving more tips and just want to keep upping your game. So there's a lot. What I love about your approach is that it's very customized and comprehensive, that you really tackle it from from the inside out and outside in. So I love that. So I'm curious, Kristen, for you, when you look back at your own career, because you had, you started off in sales. I know you've certainly been an entrepreneur for quite some time. What do you wish you had known earlier in your career? Any lessons that you'd like to share?
I wish I knew all of this.
Yeah, me too. Me too. My God. I don't even want to think about how many bags of potato chips and how many dozens of cookies I ate instead of lunch.
Well, you know what? And I'm right there with you. I'll tell you that. So when I grew up, I was really serious about becoming a professional dancer. So I dieted like crazy so that I could look a certain way on the stage. Now, little did I know that all that calorie cutting was going to add up to a very weak digestive system. So I found myself in my late 20s experiencing symptoms of somebody that could have been much older than me. Things like adrenal fatigue, really heavy brain fog. In fact, to the point where I felt stupid for years. I felt like I just didn't learn as fast as other people. And I know it sounds funny to say, but it's like, I really didn't feel very smart. So there was that. I was incredibly tired. I was snapping at my husband. I had these cravings for cookies, for chocolate. I always felt like I needed something sweet. And really it got to a point where I found myself in a tremendous amount of debt, because I was running 2 fitness studios and I had to shut one of them down, and I had to really revamp my approach and start working with a coach myself. So I was in the fitness industry and I said, you know what? Clearly what I'm doing is not working. I need to work with somebody who knows more than I do. So I worked under a metabolism coach very closely, and with a neuromuscular company for 2 years very closely, and, completely revamped my approach and realized that, I wasn't living in integrity with what I knew I should be doing as an entrepreneur. And that was really detrimental to my success, especially, like I said, I was in debt. I was overworked. And, now I don't feel that way at all. Now I completely practice what I preach and feel very much in integrity with what I tell people will work the best for them, or what we discover will work the best for them. And yeah, I wish I knew that I didn't have to restrict myself so much calorically, that doing some kind of mindfulness practice would have such an effect on my body, and that really taking care of my energy first and foremost should have been a top priority. So there's a lot of coulda, shoulda, wouldas,
Yeah, but it's good. I think it's good to, I think that it's good to hear someone like yourself who's in such, great shape, always high energy. You're helping, hundreds of people really achieve the top of their profession. And it's, it's like anything. It's really good to know you're human too, right? I mean, you've come a long way since those early days. And, you reminded me when you were talking about that of a time when, and I might have shared this with you, but many years ago, there was a certain corporate role I had. It was a senior leader in organization, and I was just at my highest stress level, probably not taking care of myself, getting migraines. And when I really committed to tackle the health and fitness aspect of my life, I'll never forget one of my directors came by my desk and said, "Oh my God, Donna, I don't know what you're doing, but keep on doing it. You were just," and here he worked for me, but he was complimenting. He's like, "I don't know what you're doing, but because my energy had changed so much." And when he said that, I hadn't even realized that people around me could see that I was having, you think that people don't see it, right? You think it's just you don't feel well, but you're hiding it somehow. It's like you're not talking about it. Maybe nobody will notice. And, seriously, people notice, right? People notice the energy level that you're bringing. Smart. Yeah.
What is it? 90% of communication is nonverbal. 90%. Right. It's a huge percentage.
That's right. Yep.
Yeah. When you think about it like that, you're not hiding anything.
Yeah, exactly.
Even though you think you are,
Exactly. I think it's something like 5 to 7% people remember is your words. The rest of it is all body language, expression, tone of voice. So, all that stuff shows up. So, Kristen, I really love all of the, the tips that you've shared around, movement, metabolism, mindfulness. These are fantastic tips that our listeners could really start tackling right away, right? Start doing these things in 10 minutes at a time. And
absolutely.
Folks listening, be sure to get Kristen's 31 Snacks. The list is at 31snacks.com. And Kristen, I'm curious, if someone wanted to find out more, what's the best way to connect with you?
Yeah. So to go to my website, it's KristenNolan.com. So KristenNolan.com. And my email's right there, or you can give me a phone call if you want to have a conversation with me, and we can connect and see what the best next move would be for you.
Mm-hmm. Great. And I encourage folks to reach out to Kristen. She has the high performance health assessment and just so many things to offer. I'm still taking advantage of so much Kristen has to offer. So Kristen, I want to thank you for your time and expertise today. There's so many more things we can talk about because I always learn so much when we cover these topics. And to our listeners, I want to mention, be sure to subscribe to the Success Talk Show podcast in iTunes so you'll automatically receive future episodes. And if you found this episode helpful, I'd love to hear from you. Just go into iTunes, click on ratings and reviews, and leave a comment. So thank you for listening and have a great day.